Mental illness is a concept that has a complicated relationship with Hollywood. On one hand, you have a couple films like Inside Out and Memento that deal with very touchy subjects in a thoughtful and artistic manner. And you also get some films that are exploitative, such as Unsane, that take mental illness concepts to problematic situations. And unfortunately, we're dealing with a film today that decides to fall into the latter category completely, which is a little bit unfortunate considering the fact that this is the much sought reunion between Diablo Cody and Jason Reitman, who first started working together for the very critically praised Juno back in 2007 or 2008. And they haven't worked together in about 7 years with their last project in Young Adult. So seeing them now reunite once again with Charlize Theron, everyone was hoping that they would come together to form something that was going to be much more entertaining and also possibly a big awards contender. And while I would definitely say Theron definitely would make anybody's cut for any awards consideration, the rest of the film has major issues. So, and they unfortunately all have to deal with postpartum depression. That's mostly because Theron plays Marlo, a expectant mother of her third child, with her husband, played by Ron Livingston. The couple have had 2 other kids, and unfortunately one of them seems to be on the spectrum and is causing a lot of problems at school. To assist with the expectant third child, Marlo's brother, played by Mark Duplass, has effectively decided to hire for her a night nanny who would come in during the night and take care of the baby, allow mom and dad to sleep, and only waking mom up whenever the baby wants to nurse. A good deal for everybody, especially since Mark Duplass's character is apparently extremely wealthy. Now, at first, Marla decides to reject this offer because she doesn't want a stranger in her house, but after one breakdown too many, she decides to hire the titular Tully, played by Mackenzie Davis. And she is basically Manic Pixie Dream Girl personified. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Manic Pixie Dream Girl is the old often trope of the whimsical girl who sweeps in to an awkward Shelby dude's life and makes him a much better person, and oh yes, is also the romantic interest. Here, there's no romantic interest in Tully. Rather, she still fulfills the old role of essentially playing second fiddle and a much more supportive character to the main protagonist in Charlize Theron's Marlo. Now, I do have to say that Theron really does nail her role. She captures a lot of small, minute details, especially when it comes to frustrations in early parenting. Speaking with a bunch of friends about their own experiences, there seems to be a little bit of consensus across the board when it comes to an infant in their early days, and apparently Theron really nails that depiction in several instances. And what I really do appreciate about her is that she doesn't go for hot and overacting. She instead goes for a much more subdued, quiet, slow frustration angle that is much more harder to pull off, but she's also able to master that technique very effectively. I wish I could say the rest of the cast was as outstanding as her. It's just that none of them are really given much to do. Both Livingston and Duplass are great with what they're given, they're just not given much to do. And Mackenzie Davis's Tully brings with all sorts of major issues, and unfortunately they do venture into spoiler territory, so I'm not going to go too much into it. But I do want to touch on the fact that her character is essentially critical for the film's discussion about postpartum depression. Watching the film, especially in the very first third, that's very effective. It is obvious that Charlize Theron is about to have a major breakdown with this affliction. But when Tully enters the picture to effectively serve as a band-aid for this very, very serious mental issue, the film just also all of a sudden loses all pacing. And that was so expertly crafted in the first third of the movie. And it effectively becomes a discussion between Tully and Marlowe, discussing the concepts of motherhood, age, and what have you, but it's just not that compelling. And furthermore, it covers a much more reductive take on the issue, especially when it comes to the final third of the film, which honestly just goes bananas. But before it goes off rails, the interplay between Davis and Theron was very, very well done, and I would even say that the writing was probably what helped seal the deal. And that mostly comes from our good old friend Diablo Cody, and it actually helps in this film that her words are being spoken by veteran adults rather than smart-ass teenagers. Additionally, Jason Reitman's direction is very well done when it comes to actors, even if his cinematography here isn't anything to write home about. Nonetheless, it's obvious that they cut a lot of material from this film, whether it really just tanked the pacing even further, or it distracted from a lot of the odd choices the film makes in order to set up its late game twist. And again, without wishing to spoil, that twist really undercuts the whole discussion about postpartum depression and really makes it into something that it's just, I honestly did not feel that it was appropriate nor right. So with that said, I think Theron was able to at least save the film from mediocrity with her especially great performance, but unfortunately there's just not much else in this movie that I can really recommend. So I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5 stars. Wait for this as a rental, and my name is Christopher Jaramillo, and I will see you at the lobby.